students of Madison County. We're very grateful tonight to honor 4 employees for 30 years of faithful service. The 4 are, if you'll please come forward, Kim Phillips, counselor at B. Michael Caudill Middle School, Denise Newland, teacher at Shannon Johnson Elementary, Christy Fortney, teacher at Kirksville Elementary, and Charles Willis, custodian at the Madison Kindergarten Academy. Absolutely.
That we do, especially 30 years. That's congratulations. Oh, it's amazing.
Everybody? The whole gang? Yes, we can.
We can do whatever you ask.
1, 2, 3, right in the middle. Right down the side. Perfect. And we'll do it right. Yes. All right. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you all. It's amazing.
30 years is a long time. And we appreciate that. Okay, next is, do we have any audience comments regarding the agenda items? Sandy? Okay. Moving on, we'll move into the consent agenda. These are items that the board sees regularly and we are very familiar with. The items will be approved on consent agenda are the minutes of the May 21st, 2024 special meeting, claims, superintendent's personnel actions, leaves of absences, technology surplus, the 2024 salary schedule amendments, section 504 chairperson. Are there any questions? If not, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Rutherford. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Brock. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Moving on to our monthly reports. Instruction report. Tonight we have Shauna Reeder to present our special education report.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, so yes, I am Shana Reeder. This is Chad Coffey. He is our special education coordinator, and we're just going to showcase a little bit of the great things that we're doing here in the district. So a little bit about what special education is we currently serve approximately 2,200 students with special needs in our district. We serve 13 disability categories under the Individuals with Disability Education Act, or IDEA. We have 160 plus special education staff, and we're blessed to have 7 special ed consultants. So these folks are familiar and knowledgeable with our special ed policies and procedures. They, last year, I think they chaired over 3,700 ARCs. Within the school year. They consult with teachers and staff to problem solve our student needs, and they ensure compliance across the district. They also try to meet monthly with the special education teachers to talk about any issues that they're having, update on any kind of paperwork, really do that one-on-one support. We have 12 school psychologists last year. I think they conducted approximately 860 formal evaluations. So as you can see, we're very busy. They consult with teachers and staff to problem solve student needs as well. They review intervention data and provide feedback. They work with their MTSS systems pretty closely, and they assist with threat assessments and the crisis response teams.
Okay, so our related service personnel is currently composed of 22 speech language pathologists, 5 occupational therapists, 1 physical therapist, 1 orientation and mobility specialist, special transportation, as well as 2 employment specialists. Their primary job and role and responsibility is to work closely with staff to identify, select, and adapt special materials for equipment purposes, students' participation in daily routines and activities, just to meet the child's unique needs. As you can see in the next slide, this is our data based on our December 1 child count over the course of the last 3 school years. Our student population with disabilities continue to grow, increase in size in almost all disability categories with the exception of a couple subcategories there. Based on our data, it looks as if we have increased from the 2021-22 school year to our most recent Child 1 count 23-24 school year of total 277 students.
So that's over the last 3 years. So with our teachers, we're building systems and capacity within our teams by supporting teachers. So how are we doing that? We are always onboarding our folks. We want to give them professional development opportunities to grow and to learn. We keep them or help them to keep up abreast of new state and federal updates. We have monthly PLCs again, new teacher trainings for those that are new to our district or new to the profession. I myself, along with Chad, meet with new teachers at schools, go over monthly agenda topics just to make sure that they are getting the support that they need. We also have an annual compliance record review to ensure continuity so that our teachers trade what we call blue folders. They go over using the compliance record review just to make sure that we don't have any systematic problems going on and that we are keeping within our guidelines. We also work on academic achievement. So all of our special ed teachers also participate in any kind of district training should the principal see that they need to do so. We have specialized programs to meet individual needs of students with disabilities. So a particular student may need, for example, the Edmark reading program. So we work really hard to make sure that students are getting what they need. We make sure that they are getting the differentiated instruction, which is tailored to meet their individual needs. The LRE, or the least restrictive environment, is based on a continuum of services, which is determined on a case-by-case basis based on what services and supports that students need. It's not determined by disability category or schedule. It's determined on what the student needs. And of course, we align the Kentucky academic standards with the student's ability to develop attainable goals. And we have special programs. So our Inspire Academies have just been developed over the course of the last couple of years at both of the high schools. So each high school has what we call an Inspire Academy, which gives students the opportunity to practice work-based skills before they go out into the community to hopefully get paid opportunities. So Madison Central started us with their academies, and they currently have 4. They have retail, food service, janitorial, and office. And Madison Southern is just getting going with 2 academies, retail and culinary. So they practice those skills, they learn or explore different career opportunities and figure out what it is that they like or have interest in. And so, for example, if they are in retail, then they work in like the Family Resource Center to make sure that they're hanging the clothes up, they're getting the shirts to the students, they're getting any kind of material that they need, they're washing the clothes for the ball teams and practicing those skills. So by the time that they get to our employment specialists, they have obtained some skills. So we have 2 employment specialists within the district. Approximately 80 students with disabilities were provided work-based learning opportunities in the community this year. So our employment specialists go out with them when they get to be juniors, seniors, and even the grade 14s to learn or follow through with the skills that they've been practicing in the high school and then hopefully get paid opportunities. We also have an annual transition fair where the outside agencies come in. They provide parents with information and support such as the Carl D. Perkins, UK HDI, or the Folk Rehab. And so here is a little snippet of a slide from KDE. KDE came in, or I'm sorry, KET came in and did a program on our Inspire Academy at Madison Central. We'll fast forward through some parts. You can watch it another time, but this will at least showcase
And
their
is a career
kiddos.
development center for students with moderate to severe disabilities. There are 4 pathways. That would be foods, clerical, janitorial, and retail. In 9th grade, we kind of start instilling these vocational skills as soon as they come to the high school. It just looks different. And really, they're working on independent work skills, being able to focus on a specific task for a certain amount of time, and getting those work skills built in the classroom. And then in 10th and 11th grade, they start to kind of go out more into the community with our employment specialists.
Hey, thank you so much.
By the time they reach 12th grade, they get to choose a pathway into the Inspire Academy. And then that's when we really focus on that specific skill set. If they really like food service, we'll put them in the food service pathway, and then they get to practice those skills 3 days out of the week. And we also get them a employment placement, kind of job training, you would say. And then hopefully they get to have a paid position. The skills that they obtain in a lab setting is something that you cannot acquire when you're behind a desk.
Okay, so that's just a little snippet of what that looks like. So they showcase there the coffee cart where they, if a student is interested in the culinary or food service, then they will, for example, they do the coffee cart and they go out to the faculty and staff and provide that experience.
Very good.
This
There's a lot
department-
going on there.
Yes, this is a huge department.
Yes.
I mean, I knew it was big, but the number of students is a small district.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
I mean, it's 20% or more of our population.
Yeah.
That's a lot. You guys do great work.
Thank you, thank
Yeah,
you. We
wow.
actually presented today on the Inspire Academies at a training, and there were several districts there that were just in awe and amazement of the work that does for our kiddos. So,
You've got a
it's
big
good.
staff too, so thank you all for
Thank
all
you.
you do, my goodness.
One thing, Shannon, before you take off, one thing I'd like to, just to go back and highlight real quick is on that first slide, you said we have about 2,200 special needs students and I think about 160 special ed staff. And so when we look at assigning staff, we're oftentimes creating or moving around some of those special ed teacher positions. We do some of those through the years as those students qualify. But most of those students have the teachers are required to have a caseload that maxes out at either 10 or 15, depending on the disability. So when we look at that, you know, you're talking about, most of them are at 15, but 2,200 and 160 staff, so we're just a little over 13, so we're just under 14, so right in line, but that kind of explains some of those staffing pieces. So I
Yes.
appreciate you pointing those numbers out to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Moving on. 6B is our District Equal Opportunity Coordinator Report. We have we have two of them zooming in with us, Dr. Cynthia Ganote and Dr. Desiree Anderson. And we have here with us Robbie Morton, District Equal Opportunity Coordinator, presenting the DEOC report.
Technology.
Gotta love it when it works, right? So first you'll hear from the consultants. They'll tell you a little bit about their individual tasks with the DEOC, and then I'll do a wrap-up of what we have done as a district. Hopefully you get a good overview of everything that is going on within that.
I don't even know how to schedule a Teams meeting, so.
I don't know, I just click.
Can you hear us?
She's between the three.
Can you unmute yourselves? Okay, you did.
Thank you all so much for inviting us to your meeting. It's really wonderful to see all of you, not in person, but in this way on Google Meet here. Both Dr. Anderson and I have done really deep work, first with Dr. Gillum and Mr. Ray, and then adding on the wonderful addition of Mr. Morton as DEOC. Done a lot of collaborative work, so I'll just do a quick overview of my part and hand it over to Dr. Anderson and then be open to any of your questions. I, as a former sociology professor and now consultant and coach for a lot of different educational organizations, first conducted a courageous conversations training on the first day back to school for all staff. And by staff, I'm meaning, all teachers, para staff, and principals, everyone else in the district. Um, at that first day back to school training, was able to meet with a lot of teachers and staff members between meetings, get some initial kind of relationships going, make some contacts so that I could follow up with folks. And then after that, I built on that and collaborated very highly with Dr. Gillum, Mr. Ray, and with Mr. Morton to set up both individual depth interviews with a number of different folks to develop the climate and culture plan. The first thing that I wanted to do was check in with student, staff, faculty, administrators, and later I'm going to add a parents group to see where the climate and culture is from their particular vantage points. I did those in-depth interviews. Sometimes I met students in focus groups. Sometimes I met with different staff members one-on-one or two at a time, analyzed all those data, and then put together a report laying out all the themes that I recognized. And then I also built a PD plan, a professional development plan that was designed to address the gaps in both information and awareness about racial harassment, what it looks like, and how to recognize it when it happens. And then developed the pieces that would help build the gaps in skills, in what to do in terms of um, these parts of the professional development plan will be filled in by others, but exactly what the new policy is, how to report instances of racial harassment, and how to talk with students who have been faced with racial harassment, how to do the repair work, if you will. Understanding that, of course, staff, faculty, students in Madison County schools are across an incredibly wide range of levels of awareness, skill sets, and experience in dealing with racial harassment. Wanted to design a PD plan that could build sequentially in the 4 years of the DOJ settlement agreement and be able to check in at the end of each year to see how successful the PD plans are working, how much different stakeholders are getting from those different initiatives. And then we'll be adding to the climate and culture piece as we go as well by adding in a number of parent stakeholder voices to it and going deeper into climate and culture piece and the professional development piece as we go. So those are the two key pieces that I've been working with in depth in this first year of the agreement. Dr. Anderson, let me pass it to you.
Sure. Greetings, everyone. Nice to be with you virtually. And along with Cynthia, have been engaging in this work. And my two main focus areas so far have been really working on updating the policies. And so did a first draft of all of the policies, got that sent over to the DOJ, and now going back through them with their notes to finalize that so that those can be ready for you all for this next academic year. As well as, I guess that's technically three things. Did the initial draft of the focus group questions that were facilitated this April into May for students, and will be assisting with some of that kind of coding as a qualitative researcher. That is my specialty. So going to be kind of combing through kind of the information that was received from the DEOC and around what they received from those focus groups to find what are the kind of the themes, the things that are coming up consistently among the students that we can then also put into kind of training into the PD, being able to pull some very specific examples of things into some of the training and development that happened. As well as a training that I did for the Principals Academy in May around kind of broad anti-racism, kind of small steps for bystander intervention. So kind of leading into what is the next piece for both Cynthia and myself. So one is, of course, is finalizing everything with the focus groups. Starting to develop a survey for parents and students that will be done in the fall, and then again subsequently in next April. And that will be kind of a yearly set of surveys that will go out each fall and spring, as well as developing a bullying and harassment intervention program. So basically creating from the beginning to end a kind of program that could be facilitated for all students around bullying and harassment. And I think that that's kind of the cycle for the end of this first year leading into that second year. And and then I'll leave it to answer any questions that you all have about the work that Dr. Gannot and I have been doing.
Anybody have questions for them? Okay.
All right, well, thank you all. If you want to stay, you can. If you all want to check out at this time, you can. I'll go ahead and give a wrap. But as the board knows, at this time last year, the report came out from the DOJ. And the way that it was slated is that they wanted us to start July 1 with doing some of these things. I did not come on board until November the 1st. And then the rest of the team wasn't put together until December the 4th. And I'm not going to be remiss, Ms. Ballou, who is also a part of the team, is here this evening. So we were a few months behind in doing some things, but I think since that time, we have done quite a bit of work and done some things that I think the US DOJ has approved of. I don't think we've been slapped around too much as far as what we haven't done as far as some of the things we do. As you heard, we've been doing a lot of training. We've had trainings just about every month since I came on board to make sure that we're getting done some of the things, and we're planning next year. One of the big things that they wanted to do was to have contact with the community. So I've reached out to various groups around here, EKU, Berea College, the local YMCA here is putting together what we call a Black Achievers group for youth. Please don't let the name fool you. It is for any students 7th through the 11th grade that wants to get more information and get themselves ready to go into higher education, whether it's technical school or four-year institution. And so we've been working. We're going to have a big kickoff September the 28th. We'll be meeting every month on the fourth Saturday. Dr. Gilman has been gracious enough that there is a $50 registration fee for the students. If they put in $10, then county schools are going to pick up the other $40 of that. We're going to use the Ignite buildings to host some meetings for their group. I think we'll be able to get some transportation and things like that. So we have reached out to the community. I went to a Chamber of Commerce meeting the other day where the other member of our group, Mr. Muntz, Drew Muntz, gave a presentation about leadership, what do you have to do to make yourself a better leader. And so we're going to be doing some of those things so that we can connect business people with some of the students in the county. So we are doing quite a bit of work. We've got a lot of work to do. Like they said, we're working on survey that we have to put out twice a school year, November and April. So our first one won't come out until this November. Then we'll follow up with one in April. That's one of the things that was in the agreement that we weren't able to get to just because of the timing of when everything got started. So that's about where we are now. The big thing that we'll be doing as we move forward is to continue the training. We've got, about 12,000 students, about 2,500 employees, 20 schools. It's going to take us a while to change that culture, but we're working on changing that culture. And so that's what we're really going to hit on this upcoming school year, is how do we go about changing that culture, making sure that our communication is universal, that they hear the same thing from from different people as they go through when racial incidents occur. And so that's where we are now. Dr. Gillum, you want to add anything to that?
Not necessarily. Appreciate the work. It's been great working with Dr. Canote and Dr. Anderson. They've been very great to work with. I mean, it's about the best way for me to describe it. You know, we've had a good relationship from day one, and certainly, Mr. Morton, you and your folks have come on board. The community plan that you mentioned, that community engagement plan, is a big part that you're working on right now. I know that, and then that PD plan as well, those are continuing to move forward. So thank you for your work.
Right.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
We
Thank you all.
appreciate it. I know it's been busy.
Okay, moving on. Next, we have Jonathan Smith with Branscombe Construction. Will be presenting an update on our new Madison Middle School project.
Good evening, how y'all doing tonight?
Good.
Good. Okay. I want to give you all just an update of kind of where things are at and show you a few pictures. But first, I want to start off with, a few weeks ago, we had the opportunity to host a lot of the staff from Madison Middle at the job site. We had two different groups there, 2 different days, came over, got to take a tour of what was going on and kind of where things were. Of course, rooms are starting to take shape. People were asking, what was this room, what's this room? So we took a tour of the whole building, as we did with some of the board members a few weeks back. But got to have them over. Like I said, 2 different groups came in. We got the picture with their hard hats on there at the job site. So they got to kind of see what it's looking like, what it's starting to shape up on the inside, and kind of see where things are. One thing we did do, one of the last pieces of steel that we're going to hang, they got to sign that. So that's going to hang over as you come in the entrance there. So they got all the groups that came through. We had those folks there, and they got to sign that beam that's going to go up in there. So they all had fun putting little notes and everything on that beam, and it's I think they actually hung it this week. So then, of course, that's from a few weeks back. It was a little bit wetter when some of the board members were over there, but they had all their safety gear on. I think everybody was safe while they were there that day. So might have been a few wet feet, but they got through it.
My feet weren't wet.
There was one board member that had on her boots. She didn't get wet. As you can see, if you've been by, the brick is starting to go on. That's area D. That's one of those wings that you see. You see the 2 different colors of brick there. You can see kind of in the back the dark color and light color. A lot of that brick is going on. They're working their way around the building now. You kind of see a little bit better there in that picture of, you see that darker brick on the lower side than the lighter brick above that, but they're working their way around. They started in that corner of area D, and they're working their way around the building. This is area C. You can see the yellow there. That's the spray foam insulation that they're getting on there. They're actually bricking around that side of the building now. They're coming around there, working their way up. This is the media center. Since you all were there, a lot of that block wall that wasn't laid up to height is done now, and actually behind that wall is where that last set of mezzanine is. That precast got set, and actually the topping slab was poured today on that last section of the mechanical mezzanine. This This is an area C. You can see a lot of that framing on the interior, the bracing for the walls. Framer's been there for the last several weeks, and a lot of that framing's getting to go in. As you can see, it's starting to dry a little bit more. They're getting the insulation board and we don't have the roof on yet, but it's starting to stay a little bit drier with the insulation board and the covering they've got over the decking now. So those areas are starting to take shape. This is along that last section. You can see the precast overhead. That is all in. That's one of those corridors in area C. That's another section where that last section of precast is in. So all the precast above for the mezzanine, all of that is set now. We had that last mobilization, so that's all been done. This is in the cafeteria. This is actually that block wall you see to the left. That was not laid when you all were there, but they're taking those walls on up, getting those on up to deck height. This is the exterior. This is right where the freezer and cooler are. I think when you all were there, none of that masonry was laid, but that's been going up in the last several weeks. So that block is getting on up to height. And steel erectors should be back this next week, and they'll start finishing the rest of the steel because we're going to have all the block pretty much ready for him in a lot of areas. So he'll come back, last mobilization, get the rest of the steel in. We have started work down over the hill in the athletic areas. This is the football locker room. See, there's a lot of plumbing in there. We're getting a lot of that underground in. Footer's been poured down there, so that area is starting to take shape down there. This is the concession bathroom areas for the football locker room. As you can see a little bit closer there, the amount of plumbing in there, because that's the restrooms and concession stand. So all that plumbing's going in, everything's getting roughed in, getting all that on grade. Should be ready to pour slab hopefully in a few weeks once the electrician comes behind him and he does his roughing. This picture here, this is the baseball, softball press box area. We've got that footer poured, and once they get done on the other areas, they'll work their way over there to get the underground in for it. So those areas down there start to take shape, and actually the sports field lighting, going ahead and setting the bottom bases of a lot of that. That's going to be set. And actually, some of those poles will start setting up in the next few weeks. They're getting their bases in, getting them concrete in. You can see the poles laying there behind them, so they're ready to start standing those up, hopefully in the next few weeks. Next 30 days, as I said, steel guys going to be back. We're going to finish the rest of the structural steel. Mason's pretty much got most of the load-bearing walls. They're going to fall back, do some of the interior stuff that we've kind of been waiting. We've been focusing on getting load-bearing walls done, and obviously brick is still going to be ongoing with a lot of other trades on site. So, been a lot of work. Hopefully we'll have some better weather. We get over this little rainy spell, so hopefully we'll have a lot of sun and warm days. So, any questions?
Even when you drive by and it's raining, there's people there working.
Yep.
Amazing. And it's exciting to go by, just the difference in a few days, the changes. It looks amazing. It's exciting.
I was noticing the athletics fields and thinking about how Madison Middle really has never had anything like that before, and it's going to be so nice for them. Yeah.
They're really nice down there.
Yes. Okay. Anybody else questions?
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Tony Thomas, Clothfelter Semicar. He will present his construction report.
Yes, good evening tonight. How are you? I'll start with the Phillips Building renovation. And of course, merged with Trace Creek is in the back here. And of course, looking from Georgia Street, you can see that there's a lot of material on the walls now. It's ready for the metal panel that'll go on there. There'll be that bright piece in the middle is where there'll be two different colors there, a lighter gray on the bottom and a darker gray up top. This is the Tech building from Georgia Street, about to get covered up. You can see some of the brick there, and they're putting in the studs. That's where there'll be metal wall panel that matches the rest of the building there. So hopefully those two buildings will come together, at least visually now. That's a little bit of a close-up there. So there'll be that's where the formal entry will be now, from that parking lot into to the Tech building, and there'll be a nice canopy, weather canopy out front there. If we move down Georgia Street a little bit, there's a new water vault coming in, and that's the wall that will also get new metal panels. Again, that's from Georgia Street. Those windows are into the offices inside of there. Move closer to 2nd Street, that's where the shop door will be, and if we move in inside. That's what it'll look like from the inside. So nice clean area for them to clean up the trucks and do some minor maintenance. If we move around, you can see more metal studs, more insulation. Some of the area will be insulated, some of the area will not be insulated because it won't be heated and cooled. This is the office areas where they continue just to insulate, put the cap on top, and the walls and the windows, and lots of studs right now. Lots of stud work going on, and you can see the piles of gypboard that are getting ready to go on. And this is the office area where all the maintenance staff there that's at the front of the building will move into this area. Then they'll be able to start that demolition work on the front area as well. This is just a shot of the cheer gym. If you remember, there used to be a bunch of ugly louvers in there that just let the cold air in. That's along the bottom of the floor there, so that's now all been covered up and painted to match the other walls. If we jump outside the building and go to the athletic complex, this is the large slab where the grandstand will go. And to the left would be the soccer field, and in the distance you can see the concession stand. And there's a view of the concession stand. You can see the brick going on, and roof felt. Picture from inside, that's where the concessions window will be looking out to the soccer so that everybody can watch the soccer team while they're serving as volunteers for the concession stand. We've all done that. And in the back, just some work that you won't see eventually get covered up, the retention basin, of course, for the storm water. A lot of work going back on the backside of that site that a lot of people, it's kind of, you can't even see it really unless you walk all the way up there. So, of course, that's where some of the project costs went, is into developing the detention basin there. That's it for the Phillips building. If there's any questions on the Phillips building, it's moving along. They've still got a lot of work to do, but they have some, aggressive goals that they're trying to meet to get the staff moved over into the new offices so they can start the other work in the rest of the building as well. If not, we'll move to the middle school, and of course, I'm sure some of my photographs reflect, are duplicates of what Jonathan has already showed you, but progress has been good. There has been off and on rain, but there's a lot of inside work going on now too, because some of the roofing is on. As he mentioned, there's the brick, and there's the two different colors of the brick going on, so there's been progress on the masonry. Inside the cafeteria, the serving area on the left, and then on the right is where you'll have glass out into the corridor. There's a lot of mechanical work going on too. That's the geothermal pipes coming into the mechanical room on the north side. Some roofing, a lot of decking up on the roofing now. This is about over the cafeteria area looking towards the gymnasium in Goggins Lane. And as he mentioned, there's been a lot of work now this spring on the back 40 for the athletic fields. This is a field house, lots of plumbing going on, and as he said, the light poles are going in. And if you go way back to the back, the press box for the softball and baseball fields are also going in. That's the concession stands. And all the way to the back, still that beautiful view. You sit back there on the grandstands for softball and baseball. Just beautiful countryside there. Almost looks like a painting. But that is it for Madison Middle, unless there's any questions on the middle school. Good progress there as well. So I don't see any problem. Of course, that's scheduled. It doesn't have quite the immediate deadline that the other projects do. But if we go to the former Kentucky Tech Center, this is kind of like a little walking tour. If you walk right in the front door, you can see the plaque there on your left. Of course, that's where you would have walked into the office. That's been ripped out now, and it's a corridor back to some classrooms. If you step back that way, there on your left, it could still be used as an office, but it's multifunctional, really. It could be a small classroom or an office. There's a classroom in the distance. You walk further back, and now you can see how they're just about ready. They're cleaning up those floors now and prepping them to put the floor tile in. As soon as we do above ceiling inspection, they'll drop the pads in, so that will finish up pretty quickly. Of course, if you walk down the corridor, we're looking towards marketing, and there were lockers on the left. Lockers on the right wall. You go all the way down, and now you're looking down the corridor where you can see steps in the distance where it would have gone down to the auto tech and welding. So you can see a lot of progress there. Just And then there's other classrooms. There's 7 total classrooms now in addition to that office. So that's going to be quite versatile for the high school to be able to have those additional spaces. And most of them are large too. If you walk down those steps and walk into what was the welding shop, you'll be in now the new cafeteria. And you can see the serving wall there painted the Central High School blue. And the large hole there is where they would come out of the serving area. If you look to the left, you can see the hole in the wall where there'll be a garage door that would open up to a multi-purpose area if you ever needed that function. You can see the ductwork in. Step into the kitchen. That's where the equipment was showing up on site Tuesday, and that's when I was taking these pictures. So the next thing they're going to start doing is installing this kitchen equipment, and that's where the kitchen hood is. So a lot of good progress there. I've shown exterior shots in the past. The windows are already in. The brickwork's already done. The new mechanical room addition and cooling tower are there. So good progress is there as well, and they're looking to have the kids in school by this August as well. One more. We got Madison Kindergarten. I'm sorry. Madison Kindergarten Academy. And here there's a lot of demolition going on, of course, as soon as school was out. This is the corridors, this is the classrooms. You can see the HVAC equipment has been removed, the ceiling's been removed. A lot of the things from the ceiling have been salvaged because they're going to be reused. If you recall, we're tearing out the stage and making it a workroom that's going to be on the same level as the cafeteria floor there. But some equipment here, we did this several months ago, so fortunately there's already big equipment on site and ready to be installed. So as soon as they're done demolishing, there's equipment ready to go in. Now some new work that has been done already, of course they got in there a little bit early, took some kids out of one area of the school and moved them out of there. And of course they work only after hours and weekends. But this is where the bathrooms are, so they've already got the new slab back in. The windows are ordered, and you can see the roof and plumbing is already in place. So lots of good progress is there. Well, Merch has been in the back of the room with Trace Creek's been kind of handling that project too. So great progress there. The emails I've seen go back and forth recently are that it's going to be on time. So that is it for the construction report. Unless there are any questions.
Y'all look great.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Next is our monthly financial reports. We have Mark Woods, CFO, to present.
Good evening. All right, we'll get started here with our bank reconciliation. As of May 31st, the district ended with a reconciled balance of $131,336,228.20. You can see there it's up from last year. We've been talking about this for a while. It's our construction. We just had the reports on those. We bond those projects. We get the bond money in. We hold it and spend it out as we get through the project. The monies for construction make up a little over 50% of our total balance, and they can only be used for construction. So that's why we're up there. Of the reconciled balance, the district has $60,245,688.69 in investments. The rates on those range from 4.5 to 5.3%. That's up a little bit. We had some of our T-bills come up to maturity. Cumberland Valley actually was running a special for the month, and we were able to get a 3-month CD with them at 5.3, higher than we can get on the T-bills. So we took advantage of that since we had some coming due. One of the items we have in here is to redo our pledge agreement with them because they have to pledge more securities to protect our funds. So, but that was good. It was a really good workout. The gentleman that I work with from Cumberland Valley on the investment side, he actually made me aware that they were going to be running that special. So that worked out really good, and that's a really good term. 3 months at 5.3 is a really good rate for us. In addition to that, you have the balance sheet and the revenue and expense report for May 31st. I've been through these. I looked through them, make sure we're tracking. Of course, at the last meeting we made some adjustments to the working budget for some things that we hadn't seen throughout the year, so that after those adjustments, we're tracking where we should be.
Very good. Any questions? If not, we'll move on to, get a motion to approve the monthly financial report as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Cobb, seconded by Ms. Rutherford. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Next on 7B is to designate the fiscal year 2025, is that right? Fund balances. That sounded weird.
Go ahead, Mr. Woods can cover these next couple as well, since.
The next
you have
two
questions.
are annual motions that we do. This, really what this allows me to do is it allows me to close out our books and to designate funds as we need them for future expenditures and get them set up. So this is some year-end cleanup that keeps us from having to bring each item back to you before we can get it done. So you're authorizing me to speak to the superintendent and make those decisions on behalf of the board.
So the motion would be to authorize the Chief Financial Officer to designate 2023-2024 fund balances for site-based carryover, sick leave restriction, funds obligated for purchases, future personnel expenditures, facility maintenance, capital projects and property cost, or other items as needed on behalf of the board. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Brock, second by Mr. Rutherford. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Well, I guess you're staying up there. 7C is to uncommit 2023-2024 funds.
And this also, in the closeout process, this allows me to take any funds that you all have committed in the past that need to be pulled out and spent on things you've committed them for. It allows me to pull them off the balance sheet, pull them into our, as beginning balances into our revenue, and allows us to pay for those expenditures.
Okay, so any questions? Recommended motion would be to authorize the Chief Financial Officer to uncommit 2023-2024 funds for operating expenses, special projects, and for capital projects as needed to meet the obligations on behalf of the board. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Cobb. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Rutherford. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
7D, now to set a pay date schedule. Do we have somebody presenting that? Why don't you just join us?
You can stay there.
Stay up here for a while. It's
And
kind of
you-
like the last
Mark.
meeting, isn't
You
it?
can
think there's
stay, you can stay
You
for
always just
7
come
days.
up
I think there's a couple more here for you.
You need to check.
All right, as required under Kentucky statute, the board is required to set a pay date schedule for us to issue all of our paychecks. So this is the pay date schedule for the year, and we have highlighted those days that fall either on a weekend or a holiday. We go ahead and we issue the funds out, and it's up to, a lot of the banks will issue that as a pending item, so they have the availability of the funds. That way it gets it to our employees faster.
Right. So the motion would be to set the pay date schedule as presented. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Brock. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Rutherford. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. All right, stay up there. 7F is to approve school fees.
All right, so we bring these before you each year. This year, no one has requested any changes in prior approved fees. However, we do need to bring them before the board and get them set for the new school year.
Yes, it's always good, no changes.
No increases.
So the recommended motion would be to approve the school fees as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Cobb. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Brock. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
This is his
Okay.
last one right here. He sits down after this. Go ahead.
7F is to approve the pledge of collateral agreement.
All right, so at our last meeting, annually we approve these agreements. Like I said, we had the special rate with Cumberland Valley, so we put more money in their local CD. So in order to do that, it required them to pledge more collateral on our behalf. It's a line of credit with the Federal Home Loan Bank, which meets the KRS statutes, and it protects our funds in case above the 250,000 FDIC insurance.
Okay, any questions? So the recommended motion would be to approve the pledge of collateral agreement with Cumberland Valley National Bank of London as presented. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Cobb, do we have a second? Second by Mr. Rutherford. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Oh, wait, no, I'm kidding. Okay, 7G, approve continuation purchase of general liability property, workman's comp, fleet, and pollution insurance. I think we have a speaker, Sue Porter with Hutchins Insurance.
Hi, my name is Sue Porter, and I'm a colleague of David Livingston, who was unable to be here this evening. So I got to choose to come here, and it is my privilege to do that. Although you've talked about such nice things tonight, celebrating employee tenure and new construction, and your premier special education, and now insurance. I'm not sure it's as pleasant of a topic, especially this year, but I'm happy to be here and have a discussion with you about that and present our renewal for you for insurance. It's been a tough year. It's been a really, really tough year for insurance. As most of you probably know, and you've heard from others, it's insurance. We're in a hard market right now. We're in a really, really hard market right now. I've been doing this for a long time. My whole career has been spent with governmental and educational insurance and services. And this has probably been one of the hardest one I think I've gone through to this point. And we go through tough markets where rates increase, premiums increase, things like that. Sometimes coverages are affected, but we're in a time now where insurance carriers have decided to do what they call de-risking, getting out of the marketplace. You think about that happening in other states. We hear about it in Florida and California. It's happened here. This year. You guys are going to feel a little bit of the weight of that. I can tell you that your counterparts across the state, there are some of them that are really feeling the weight of it, getting their property insurance non-renewed and struggling to find coverage in the marketplace. And it's hard times for that. I think everybody's going to come out okay. I believe that. I know we work with approximately 80 school districts, and I feel comfortable that we've got a good home for them, and you guys as well. A couple of years ago, moved your insurance from Liberty Mutual, which you've been with for a few years, to EMC. EMC this year, I'm going to open. I don't have anything on the board, do I? So I'm going to look down a little bit, if you will, to some of my notes. But EMC, we started having conversations with them early in the year. By February, they were ready to talk to us and kind of tell us what they thought was going to happen this year. At that time, they told us that they had plans to offer Madison County Schools a renewal of the current insurance program. We were happy to hear that because we'd already been hearing, from others that might not be the case. They told us that we could expect a probably 15 to 20% increase in premium rates and things like that due to losses, not just of Madison County, but what the carriers are experiencing all across our nation, especially with property claims. But it's more than just property. The property is the big issue this year, but no doubt there's still auto claims and auto rates needing to increase because of adverse litigation claims, higher cost of labor and materials, vehicles, things like that as well. But the property has been the big thing. Come about April, they told us, I think, that it's going to be a little bit more than that. We want to come and look at the roofs. We want to come and do property inspections. We want to dig a little bit deeper. They went ahead and at that time sent you guys, as they did other school districts, what they call conditional non-renewals to comply with Kentucky law and to allow them the opportunity to make decisions, within a time frame before your renewal that they might want to do. They came and did that. And after that, in early May, they let us know that they had decided to non-renew on the property. So we set out and did our due diligence and sent applications for your property to every property carrier out there we could think of. The good news here is Liberty Mutual never wanted to let you go in the first place, I think a couple of years ago, and they are not writing new business, and like I said, getting off of a lot of schools, but they wanted to have you guys back in a big way. They wanted to write your insurance, not just the property, but the liability as well too. So we sought quotes from them to do that, and I think they've given us a very viable quote for your insurance. And so tonight I want to talk to you a little bit about that, as well as the renewal of your workers' comp insurance. So if you allow me, I'll start with workers' comp. That's the easy one for sure this year. Your workers' comp, KEMI, your current carrier, is still the premier carrier in the state. I believe they write somewhere in the high 130s of the school districts. They certainly enjoy working with Madison County Schools and want to remain as your carrier. You have 3 work comp class codes that are rated for your employees for the workers' comp. 2 of the 3 class codes, the rate has gone down this year for KEMI, so that was good news. Your experience mod, however, is gone up just a little bit, not drastically, but it has gone up a few points, what that's about, and you probably already know, but it's your workers' comp, you get a credit or a debit based on the last 3 completed years of your claims, of your workers' comp. And so each year, 1 year, the oldest year drops off, and the newest completed year comes on. So what's happened to increase your experience mod factor this year is we had a year that dropped off, that was a good year for claims, and we had one that wasn't quite as good that came on. So looking at that 3-year period, your experience mod went from a 0.99, which gave you a 1% credit last year on your policy, went to a 1.15, which means you get a 15% debit. The good news, though, is if it has to happen, this is a good year for it because, again, the rates went down. They're not looking for additional premium this year, so they're doing everything they can to give credits and to keep your premium stable. Your premium was going to be exactly the same, but when we added the increase in payroll estimation, 5.5%, that is what made your premium go up a little bit. So your premium overall on the workers' comp went up 5.3%, but payroll was the influencer there that made it go to 5.3% increase.
Can I ask a quick question on that?
Certainly.
And you may not have this information, but do you, on the claims for the workers' comp, is it severity, is it frequency, what caused that mod?
I'm gonna have to let David address that with you.
Okay.
I do not know the answer to that, and I didn't bring any claim information with me.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
I thought I'd see if you knew.
It might be a little of both, I mean, it might just be increasing severity of some existing claims and then some new, smaller claims.
That's okay, no problem.
So on the property and liability, again, we researched the marketplace for you, sent it out to all the big carriers that are out there that were interested in writing schools, and Liberty Mutual is the only one out there now that is writing school business in the state of Kentucky for new business. They've written just a couple this year. They're pulling back, but you guys, again, they really wanted the opportunity to work with you again, and I believe their quote, it's a little higher than last year, but we have a little higher exposures than last year as well, too. So it's a little bit of exposure, but it's also a rate increase, property, auto, and the liability. So that's what's affecting the overall premium increase. And I'm assuming you guys have that in your packet. You've got this, I think, looking at here. So we can see and kind of talk about each line of coverage. We did a comparison for you from last year to this year, so you can look at that by line of coverage overall. And then the terrorism coverage there in the middle of it. Historically, you decline that coverage, but we put it in there again as far as the pricing on it. One of the things that Liberty Mutual is offering this year that's different than what you had is the district's always had a $10 million excess or an umbrella that goes over your primary coverages, over your SLEO, your school leaders legal liability, your auto liability, your general liability. They are lowering the umbrella from $10 million to $5 million this year. And we sought an excess liability, an additional $5 million to go over to get you back up to those levels that you've had over the last year. And you'll see that underneath the TRIA. That is an excess $5 million, of the $5 million from Liberty to give you a total of a $10 million umbrella. And there's a charge for that, and you see that there in your
So is 5 the most they would do?
I'm sorry, sir?
Is 5 the most that Liberty would do? They
Yes,
wouldn't do the 10?
yes, yeah.
Any questions?
Just a quick question. What is the SLEO deductible on Liberty? Do you have that?
I do have that. Let me see if I have that. Well, I said I did, I'm sorry. Maybe I don't. I apologize. I don't guess I have that in my, yep, I don't have that.
Anything else? Okay, if not, we have a motion to approve we have an entertained motion to approve the continuation purchase of the insurance package with Houchins Insurance Group that include liability, property, workman's comp, fleet, umbrella, and pollution insurance as presented. Do we have a motion? Motion by Mr. Rutherford. Do we have a second? Come on, kids.
This excess umbrella, can we talk about that?
Yeah.
That's another $133,000 on top of the $1.6 million.
Explain.
With taxes, it's actually $140,013 when you add the taxes to that excess $5 million.
I don't think anybody's gonna do anything better.
No, I guess my question is, are we comfortable with just doing a 5 million umbrella instead of doing a 10?
Declining that coverage?
And declining that, just because,
We need more.
well, just because of how expensive it is. I mean, we're already at an over $300,000 increase. And then if you add that in, now we're at $430,000.
Have we ever used anything like that?
Not that I'm aware of.
You're the insurance specialist up here, so.
I haven't seen anything that kicks us over that.
Okay, put your hats on.
What do you think?
I'm fine with declining.
But you,
I think for this year, it's probably just for cost.
so she's suggesting that we deny the $5 million excess claim liability.
As well as the deductible buy down.
So that can be changed. Can we still vote on this?
Yes, yeah, because y'all have the option of choosing those, so, yes. And you can see in both of those boxes, there's nothing, and that would, yeah,
I just
I
didn't
would
know
agree
how
with
it
that.
was.
Mhm.
So, okay.
So we're gonna
So decline and
decline the deductible buy down.
Mhm.
And
And
decline
then-
the excess liability for $133,000.
Yes. And as well, my understanding, as well, decline the terrorism,
And the terrorism.
yes. Yeah, that's.
On both the pollution and on the Liberty policy, right?
Yes.
So can we revise the motion? Since he's already made a motion? Yes? No, right, okay. So now we're doing a motion to approve the continuation purchase of the insurance package with Houchins Insurance Group that includes liability, property, workman's comp, fleet, umbrella, and pollution insurance as adjusted. How about that? Okay. Do we have a motion?
So,
Motion by Mr. Rutherford. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Cobb. All in favor, say aye. Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And Ms. Cobb, we'll get you, I'll find out the SLEO deductible and have somebody send that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate the opportunity.
Okay, 7H is to approve the change orders for Madison Middle School project. Who's going to talk about that, anybody?
I'd be glad to talk about those change orders. we just have two. We have two credit change orders. It's real simple. We've got the, one is a change order because of we're lowering the elevation of the press box in the, for baseball, softball. So we don't have to have ramps and which eliminates steps. So there's a couple of the change orders deal with that. And then the other change order, let me pull back up to my notes because it's slipping my mind here real quickly. It was, the band room revision. We're changing the door in that band piece in one of those practice rooms.
The practice
Yeah.
rooms, we had 4,
Yeah.
now we're down to 2,
Yeah.
so we'll eliminate some.
Yeah, so it's real simple little change. We get a little bit of credit back.
So then we would recommend a motion to approve the change orders for the PR number 5 for a credit amount of $12,410 and change order for PR number 7 for a credit amount of $1,787.49 as presented. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Cobb. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Brock. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carried. 7I is to approve the construction manager. And this is to approve Branson's Construction as the construction manager for the new Waco Elementary project. Do we have any questions? Can I recommend a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Brock. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Rutherford. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Congratulations. Do a good job. Okay, 7J is to approve the Frisky MOA. So the motion would be to approve the MOA for a cabinet for health and family services for Family Resource Youth Services Centers, Frisky, for 2024 through 2026.
So moved.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Rutherford. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Cobb. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. 7K, approve the Family Resource Youth Service Center coordination positions. This motion would, do you want to speak?
Well, I will if you want me to, real quick.
I heard the mumble.
So, just to make sure we know what this is, in our MOA, we reconfigured. Every year, the state looks at the budgets and the different numbers of free and reduced students and students we serve at different schools. We had to put together a recommended plan. So the MOA reconfigures that just a little bit, and so as part of that MOA, we're having centers at every school, which would mean a director is at those schools or at 4 additional schools where we're currently sharing. So we're eliminating the family service worker positions and adding family service coordinator positions. So it's just a change in position at each of those schools.
Does it put all the schools with just one, or do we still have some sharing?
We still have some sharing, yes.
Okay. All right, so going to entertain a motion would be to approve the Family Resource Youth Service Center coordinator positions at Daniel Boone, FRC, Shannon Johnson, FRC, B. Michael Cottle, YSC, and Madison Middle YSC due to reconfiguration as presented. Motion by Ms. Cobb. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Rutherford. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. 7L is to approve the purchase of the cafeteria tables. And we're purchasing these through our bid with the TIPS USA contract for national public seating. Any questions about that? It's filling up our vocational school, basically.
Yep, the new cafeteria.
What are we calling that over there?
You all haven't named it yet.
Yeah, what are we calling that? Okay.
The old Kentucky Tech building.
The old Kentucky
That's what we
Tech.
got right now. Yeah.
Okay,
Madison Central. Wing A.
so can I entertain a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Rutherford. Do we have a second? Oh, wait, I didn't read the motion, so let me read it. The motion is to approve the purchase of new tables for Manning's Brothers for the new cafeteria at the former Kentucky Tech building in the amount of $50,000.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Rutherford. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Cobb. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carried. 7M is approved renewal of the iReady system. Is there anything to say really about that?
Well, this one and the next two are just renewals, annual renewals of
Yes.
systems we already have in place, yes.
So the motion to recommend motion would be to approve the renewal of the iReady Diagnostics with Curriculum Associates for the 2024-2025 school year in the amount of $84,854. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Brock, do we have a second? Second by Mr. Rutherford. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carried. 7N is to approve renewal of the Renaissance curriculum software. So the recommended motion would be to approve the renewal of the Renaissance curriculum software for the 2024 school year in the amount of $67,481.05. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Cobb, second by Mr. Rutherford. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carried. 7O would be to approve the renewal of the Infinite Campus System. And again, this is a routine thing too. So the motion would be to approve the renewal of the Infinite Campus System agreement for $68,082.20. Do we have a motion? Motion by Mr. Rutherford. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Brock. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. All right, 7P, approve the Richmond Utilities PO. This is for the development fee, the sewer assessments, and the water assessment for the new Madison Middle School project. The motion would be to approve the Richmond Utility Purchase Order in the amount of $80,530.80.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Cobb. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Brock. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. 7Q is to approve the intercom system purchase. This is to approve the intercom system purchase for the Madison Kindergarten Academy with Blum and the amount of $197,466.69. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Rutherford. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Brock. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. We have already had information on this, so that's why it goes a little bit faster. 7R is to create and ratify a teacher position at Madison Middle School. This individual will serve as a literacy coach and be paid from the KDE grants funds. Any questions? The motion would be to create and ratify one teacher position at Madison Middle School to be paid from KDE grant funds. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Cobb. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Rutherford. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. 7S, create and ratify a 1.0 teaching position at Silver Creek. We'd recommend a motion to create the 1.0 teaching position at Silver Creek Elementary School to be paid for by Title I funds. Do we have a motion?
So.
Motion by Mr. Rutherford, second by Ms. Brock. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. 7T is to create and ratify 2 MSD special education paraeducator positions. And this would be the motion would be to create and ratify 2 MSD special educator paraeducator positions at Daniel Boone Elementary School. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Rutherford.
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Brock. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. 7U, create and ratify 1 teaching position at Glenn Marshall School. And the recommended motion would be to approve a 1.0 teaching position at Glenn Marshall Elementary School to be paid for with the Section 6 funds. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Cobb, second by Mr. Rutherford. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. 7V, create and ratify a VIDHH special education paraeducator position. Motion to create and ratify a VI vision impaired. I was thinking, what is that? Vision impaired. DHH, deaf and hard of hearing, special education paraeducator position. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Brock, second by Mr. Rutherford. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. 7W, create and ratify 2 translator positions and approve the job description. Matt, do you have anything to say on that?
I'll speak on that one.
Yeah.
Real quickly. So with this one, we currently have within our ESL program, English as a second language, and also our migrant program, we have a position titled interpreter. And as we look at it, interpreter is really not the correct title for that. It's actually a translator to translate the language. Interpreter is really more of a VI or an HI and VI piece as well. So anyway, what we want to do is change the name, change the title from interpreter to translator, and then create a job description that is consistent with translator. Now, currently, but this actually, so this motion right here would do, would create those two positions. We currently have one, so it is truly the addition of a position. As we look up through here, these other pieces, they're really not, most of them are not creation of positions. This would create an additional position there, but we're looking at the increased needs that we're seeing right now with our ESL piece that we've talked about before. So it would do that, and it would approve that job description. Also, the pay scale, that was one of the notes that was made in the pay scale piece, which did not change that pay scale for that individual. It's the same as the interpreter pay, but it does, but it did change the name of that, create a new
Just
line
change the name.
there. Yeah. So any questions on that?
So they just float between all of our schools?
Yeah, they float. It's based on number of students served and qualify for ESL or migrant services. Yeah, typically most of this is ESL services.
And it's growing.
Yes, it is. The number is growing as well as the needs. You know, we used to just see almost all of our ESL kids were Spanish speaking, and most of them came from families that most of the kids spoke a little bit of English. We're seeing lots of additional languages. And even those that speak Spanish are coming in with no English background whatsoever. So it's becoming more challenging in those areas. Yeah.
So can we entertain a motion to create and ratify 2 translator positions and approve the job description for this position?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Brox. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Cobb. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. 7X, approve the first reading of the 2024-2025 policy updates. And we've had a chance to look at those. We'll look at them again.
All 102 pages.
Yeah, right. I look at the red and the blues.
And also with that, just most of those are small technical changes that are made because the legislature changes the laws, and so we have to make sure our policies are consistent with law. There's very few things in there that in reality are substantive, but we have to make sure it's consistent with law.
Any more questions? Then the motion would be to approve the first reading of the 2024-2025 policy updates as presented. Motion by Mr. Rutherford. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Brock. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carried. 7Y, approve vocational rehab MOA. And this will be approval of 2024-2025 memorandum of agreement with the Office of Vocational Rehab Community Work Transition Program. So that's just a state thing, right?
Yeah, it's Voc Rehab, and they mentioned that in the special ed report as one of the things that we provide. Voc Rehab is a program where we provide services. The good part about this MOA is we provide those community transition services and school to work services, and then we get reimbursed for them, for a portion of them. And so this agreement right here does that.
So can I get a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Rutherford. Do we have a second?
A second.
Second by Ms. Cobb. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next, we have a superintendent's report.
All right, well, thank you. So since our last meeting, we've conducted our graduation ceremonies. We appreciate all the hard work that our high schools do to put together such wonderful events. They were very, very nice. We had to deal with the weather there for just a little bit, but once we got going, those at the Madison Central graduation, it was just a wonderful night. And the same thing at Madison Southern. The next night, couldn't have asked for better weather. It was absolutely beautiful. So great job. And also at this time, I always like to highlight how special it is for our seniors, graduating seniors, to be able to go back to those elementary schools and walk those hallways in their caps and gowns, and how that really brings together our school district and kind of shows you that Every teacher in our system has a hand in that graduation ceremony that occurs at the end. So we really appreciate our elementaries working with those pieces as well. Another event at the end of the year that is always a lot of fun. It's our retirement dinner. We held that on June the 3rd at Boone Tavern. It was a great night to celebrate with our retirees, and we want to wish them the best in their retirement. I appreciate Jonathan mentioning from the tour of the Madison Middle faculty going out. Thank you very much for hosting them that day. They really had a great time. That really made them, really created a lot of excitement around that project. We also currently have a principal position open, so I want to make sure I mention that. B. Michael Cottle, SBDM Council, we met with them to kind of talk about that as we have to consult with them during that process. We started that on May the 30th, and Mr. Neely is working with that crew. They'll be interviewing within the next couple of weeks, so we'll have a person in place, a new principal in place there pretty soon. I attended the Stephen Covey event on May 15th. That was presented by the Kentucky Council for Post-Secondary Education. It was held at EKU Center for the Arts. And I want to thank Dr. Aaron Thompson, who's the Executive Director of CPE, and also Dr. Jana Weiss, who is an Assistant Director with CPE and Provost Emeritus at EKU. So she's just a wonderful lady, been a friend of Madison County Schools for years and years, but we thank them very much for hosting that event. On May 31st, I attended Richmond Chamber of Commerce Dream Big Luncheon, which is another event I want to just make sure I mention and say thank you to the folks there at the Chamber, but also EKU basketball coach A.W. Hamilton. He spoke at that event. That group is, and EKU Athletics is just doing a great job in our community and also supporting Madison County Schools with some of the things that they do. So I just wanted to give them a recognition and our appreciation, and also wish them a lot of luck in the upcoming basketball season. Earlier this week, I attended the Kentucky Association of School Superintendents Summer Summit in Lexington. There we worked with fellow superintendents and legislators around issues of policy and advocacy for public education. The rest of the time we've spent on just the typical end-of-year activities, wrapping up summative evaluations, doing budget preparation, and also on policy review. Those 102 pages, we brought our team together and reviewed every one of those and walked through all of those policies. So yeah, I see some heads shaking in the back of the room. Mr. Morton got to go through a few of those, and Mr. Neely as well. So good things there. Overall, it's been a very good year, and I appreciate everyone's work and support, and thankful for all of the work that our folks are doing for our community, but also our community's doing for our schools. It really means a lot to look around. We've heard the word, I've said it several times, but I know we heard it in some of our other reports as we talked about the special ed report, as Mr. Morton gave his report. We talked about, and Mr. Woods there, he talked about investing our funds in local community banks. So all of that, it's just great to be in Madison County, see everybody working together. We're going to work the rest of the summer to get ready for that 24-25 school year. And that's my superintendent report.
Very good. I'd just like to remind everybody to come out to Mike's Kids Educational Foundation Golf Tournament, which would be on June the 17th. They have a great foundation there and support a lot of our teachers, and it affects our students. It's all started with our previous superintendent, Mike Cottle, so we really would encourage everybody to support that. Anybody else? Okay, then if not, can we get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Rutherford. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Brock. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. We are now adjourned.